Hello everyone, this is Jeffrey Whetstone, and I am going to be giving my mid-semester presentation for my senior project. So today I would like to give a PowerPoint presentation that goes through different documentation and um, certain topics about my senior presentation and how it came to be, and then the plans I have going forward for the rest of the semester. So I'm going to share my screen. So here we have my presentation. So this is my midterm presentation. So for my senior project, I decided to do web development for my senior project. Um, in the beginning, I decided that web design was something that interested me a little bit more than web development, but I realized um, that I didn't have a whole lot of experience that I would like to have with web design, as that would be able to give me the ability to perform a project. And so what I decided to do was to make the changes to the project so that um, I would just use a template for the my website, and then I would build a web application to link to the website. So, and then that website will act as a resume of sorts, but with the applications and the products that I've created over the years will be attached to that website. So for my project, the main design of my project at the beginning was to build a web application that demonstrated the use of Angular, Node, and MongoDB. So these technologies make up the majority of the mean stack, leaving out Express. And so I really had a hard time figuring out what what I would be able to use to showcase these three technologies. I didn't really have a good understanding of the technologies at the very beginning, and so it made it a little bit harder. And so as I learned more about the technologies and did a lot of research um, and did a lot of learning, then I was able to come up with something that I could create. And so um, then I was able to come to a conclusion of what exactly I wanted to do. So I came to a conclusion that I wanted to create a web application for my father-in-law's website. So he runs a business called CW Polygraph, Polygraph and Investigations, and a few years ago, after I learned how to build HTML and CSS, I was talking to him about his web domain that he had, and he mentioned that he hadn't had any. He didn't have a homepage. He didn't have any website. He just owned the domain. And so I was like, well, I can whip something up for you. And so I created a quick web page, and he was really impressed. And so I just took it upon myself just as a practice, and built him his website. He hasn't had a whole lot of traffic on it. It's not usually a place people go to look for a service like this, but if I was able to augment the website and to create something really user friendly, it might change that. And so my decision was to create a web application that he could use for the customers to go in and to review the services, a clear and concise definition of what his services are and how they can request those services from him. So the application will have all of the services that he offers for his business, and then so they'll go onto his website and they'll go to the My Services page. or services offered page, and then the customer can look at the different services he offers and find the specific one that they're looking for. So he does polygraphs, he can do hard drive recovery, he can do um, like pre-employment screening and things like that. And so that's something that the customer would be able to go in. They can write write a request and then say whatever they need to say, and then send it to him, and then he can review that request. After they've performed that, they can go and leave a review on there as well, to talk about their experience. And and then the application would be a fantastic way for him to receive that customer flow, and then for the customers to, without going too much out of the way, to send that request to him, and so he would be able to get in contact with them and go that way. So to design for the application, I wanted it to resemble something that you would see in like any online store that you would look at. So you have the product, and then you would have a description of you would have all the services listed, and then there's different tabs. So you can go to description, you can go to reviews, and then you can go to pricing, or the different information that is available. And then on the reviews page, you can type out, and then using Angler, it shows what you're typing, and then it can verify email addresses, and if it needs to be a certain length, or if there's a required field, then it'll I can set that up as well. And then there'd be a short view, so there would be a first page that has the ability to look at all the services in bulk, and then just see a short description. But then you can go into the next page, and then it'll have a deeper description with all the information there. And then, so on these next slides are the design wireframes that I've built for my website, and then the application. So this is the website that that I have that's going to showcase my portfolio. And then, so for the My Work section, that's where the application is going to be listed. And then that's where future employers or anything like that, they can get in and look at my website, or the application that I built. So here's that first page I was mentioning. So it has the services, and then a quick description of all of the different services he offers. And so as soon as they go into that, then they'll come to this page, and so it'll have the service name at the top with a link that they can obviously just return back to the previous page if this isn't the service they were looking for. And then the description, reviews, request, and so those different tabs will obviously have different information, but I put this here for like the reviews, for example. So they'll input like their name, their email, and then whatever request they want, and then they would submit it, and it would get sent to my father-in-law. So the implementation side, so far I haven't been able to implement any of the technologies into the workable application yet. I'm just finishing learning and getting a really good base understanding of the three technologies, Angular, Node, and Mongo. And the technologies took a lot longer than I thought they would to learn, and it's but now it's time for development and getting all those put into place. And I believe that I will be able to get that implemented before the end of the project comes about. So I've implemented into my website the face of my portfolio, and this application will just be a great showcase of what I've created. At the end of the presentation, I'll go to my website and show what I've created on that website for the front page, or my home page of my website. The application will be set up on my father-in-law's website, and so it'll be linked to my website, which is really common in portfolio types of projects, so that the designers or the developers can showcase what they've created for their clients. And then for the people involved, I've got multiple people that are involved with this. Me, obviously, the project manager and developer, and then my teacher, Brother Godfrey, is the instructor and mentor. Jared Schillenberg, he's a mentor. Brother Mehmet, for design purposes, he's another mentor. And Kevin Okerlund is also a mentor. And then Alan Key is the stakeholder. He's my father-in-law. All of the people involved play a very important role in getting me to be able to develop an application and to receive feedback on what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, and understanding how I can maximize this experience, so I can develop an application that will really not only help me, but help others in their work environment. So the time schedule that I have, the completion date for my project and the application is set for July 8th. So that's the initial completion date of when I want to have all the development done. And then that'll leave one final week for review and feedback and any changes that need to be made. The final product and project documentation will be submitted by July 15th. And so then I can have that next week to finalize things for the project, rather than building any development or application or anything like that. So in order to complete it on time, I'm going to be at least spending 3 hours per day throughout the week. And then I've had decent success with tracking the time spent, but it'll be really crucial for the next 2 weeks to have time documented well, to ensure that I have the sufficient time to complete this project. Because if I'm lacking on time, then it's going to push back all of the it's going to push back the scope, and I'm going to have a lot of scope creep, and it's just going to cause a lot of issues with getting the project completed. So as a segue into that, some of the difficulties I have been having through the semester, one of them, like I was talking about, was time management. So not having enough time, not having a time schedule set out from the very beginning, as to very specific of what I need to do and when I need to do it. There's been a lot of things that I've forgotten to do, and then just lost track of time, or switched back and forth from learning the applications and then forgetting to complete something here or there. And it's kind of been a little frustrating. So I one of the difficulties is just that not having that time schedule laid out for me, and having created that. I've had a little bit of a time schedule that I've followed, but it hasn't been nearly sufficient enough to keep me on track as much as I'd like. Another is a lack of understanding of how the technologies worked at the beginning. It was difficult because I had to learn what they were, and then I was able to come up with a better idea of what and how I needed to implement them into a web application. The original project was just to implement them into my website, but I realized that there's not a whole lot of web application that I can or web development that I can do in my website that would make sense. And so I decided to change my project. And it is common to change the goal of the project and the circumstances around it as you go through project web development and project management, but it's something that caused a little bit of time slow, and that had me go take a few steps back in the middle of the project. So I was discussing the change of direction. It upset the plans, and made me just go backwards a little ways. So overall, the project has been a really fantastic learning experience. I've learned a lot about what I shouldn't do and what I should do, and how I can implement that into project management and having the technical skills for my future career, and learning I think learning how to develop in the mean stack is something very crucial, and it will help me out a lot in my future career. And then I'm well on my way to finishing the project and getting this awesome showcase that I can show to my employers. So that's the end of the presentation, and I thank you for your time. And then really quick, I will I'm going to show my my website. So if you just bear with me 1 second, I'm going to stop screen, and then I'm going to go to my website here in web browser. So here I have my website. It's developed with HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap, Twitter Bootstrap, and so I've got my logo here, and then the different links. That it's a one-page website, and so there's the link here that you can scroll down to About Me, and then it talks about me, my experience with web development, as a portfolio for employers to look at, and then I go down and it shows my work, and then the application. So this is where I would link the application, the web application that I'm building, and then I'm going to link another more work. It's not limited to just 2, but and then a link to my resume that the employers can go directly and look at my resume online, as well as in the interview process if I turn it into them in hard copy. And then the contact information, so they can send an email if they want to, and then it's got my information here at the side, and that'll have to be updated obviously as I go through change of address, and I won't have my school email after I graduate and whatnot. So that is my website. I've like I said, I really enjoyed this project and learning about Angular, MongoDB, and Node, and how to build the web application on myself. I've never taken on a task like this where I worked by myself and had to learn all the technologies by myself. And the process of working with mentors is also really interesting, and I learned a lot. And so I hope you enjoyed the presentation and that it was informational. And if you have any questions, let me know. If you have any feedback, then I'd be happy to take that into account and to make my project just that much better. Well, thanks for your time, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks.